If you aren't watching wrestling with NordVPN.com/Fightful, you are not watching wrestling in the best way. I know times are tough. Money is tight. NordVPN.com/Fightful can eliminate your cable bill if you just watch wrestling. You can watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and PLEs on Netflix by changing your virtual location with just one click. You can watch pay-per-views at a much more affordable price when you change that virtual location and get the prices they're getting overseas. In addition, all the wonderful features that we haven't even mentioned. But right now, you save big. 4 extra months free and a 30-day money-back guarantee when you use NordVPN.com/Fightful. By the end of this subscription, you're going to be saving money. NordVPN.com/Fightful. Every time it seems to happen, right? Like it happens all the time that I do this. I mute myself. My God. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, September 1st, 2025. Welcome to Fightful. We got plenty to talk about right here. I'm going to have a very interesting report on FightfulSelect.com after this. Not AJ Lee related, actually upcoming maybe WWE signing related, coming to FightfulSelect.com. Check that out. Thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate that if you all did so. But programming note in the coming weeks, as we're here for an early afternoon, early evening-ish show, WWE Raw listed as 8 p.m. next week. It is listed as 7 p.m. the next 2 weeks. So a little bit earlier than usual. But by God, let's go ahead and talk about this WWE Raw. Get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats. We would greatly appreciate you guys. I've got lots of things that I liked about this show, lots of things that didn't make any damn sense. I'm going to ask my moderator, Luis, to consolidate some of these segments that we see here because there's a lot that should be going together. But we are actually going to get kicked off with the opening promo that featured Jey Uso interrupted by LA Knight. Incredible crowd reaction for Jey Uso, per usual. But this crowd definitely had something special for him. He wouldn't run it back, though. I was dreading it, too. I was like, man, please don't do this shit again. Do not do this again. For the love of God. We are like 12 minutes into this show. Please, let's just go ahead and get this show going. And he did so and noted that if he would have listened to Roman Reigns, then maybe he would not have emerged from the main event without the world championship. LA Knight interrupts and gets in his face, and it looks like they are about to tear each other apart. But then Bronson and Braun come out and stop him. I didn't quite understand this. There's a lot about this angle that I am not quite understanding. Now, they reveal that Paul Heyman has a crushed larynx. He's out. Roman Reigns has fractured ribs. He's out indefinitely, which seems to happen to Roman Reigns an awful lot, by the way. That's another thing that you look at and you go, okay, well, this is happening with an incredible amount of frequency. Every time he goes through a barricade or a table or something, he's written off for months. You just say he's not cleared. Written off for months and months and months. Every 3 months. I'm like, damn, bro. But LA Knight's carrying this promo, obviously. Bronson Reed is basically saying we don't have anybody to tell us what to do anymore. I believe Braun Breaker said that. Said we don't have anybody to tell us what to do, anything like that. And they set up a match for later. Instead of just letting these two rip each other apart, which it looks like they were on a path to doing, they're like, no. We'll face you. We'll do all the hard work. And I'm like, well, all right, bro. Okay. Eventually, LA Knight backstage is saying that they can survive together or die apart. Okay. get the match. It's a fine match. Braun Breaker ends up scoring the win on Jey Uso. But let me tell you guys, listen, WWE's main event formula is the main event formula. I've mentioned this before. I've often said, like, it's big move, big move, big move, signature move. That's like what they love to go for. We got that big spear off the ropes to Jey Uso. Bronson Reed hits the tsunami after the fact. Like, this is they're both during match and post match formula. After the match, after the beatdown, after all that, Jimmy Uso makes the save. And listen, at that point, I was just happy that we had a main event with no interference or DQ. But I'm like, okay, Jimmy Uso is in Paris right now. He waited until the very end to come out. Where was he yesterday during all this? Where was Jimmy? Are we to believe that Jimmy Uso saw everything happen and he flew to Paris on Monday? Because if so, I would love for that to be a thing. I'd love for Jimmy Uso to be like, man, listen, I saw the way that things went down on Sunday, and I wasn't going to let that go down on Monday. Okay. But I've got some big questions as to why everybody in this family waits so long to help their cousins and brothers. Roman Reigns takes forever to help anybody. Jey Uso waited forever to help Roman Reigns. And now Jimmy Uso waited forever to help out Jey Uso. Okay. All right, then. I guess. Listen, you got to have Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed win matches like this, especially if they're going to be a dominating faction. And again, I'm more than happy with them winning a clean match in this capacity as well, because what threat are they if they can't win things clean? And I think it also sets a good example for the nature of the stable, that these are the guys winning things clean while Seth Rollins has to like sort of steal things away. Punk is waiting for Rollins by the gate. More on that soon. Io Sky shows up, talks to the Kabuki Warriors, says sorry to them, and Asuka's like, no, you're good. You're okay. And I love Asuka being the thread throughout this show. And that woman on this show is completely unhinged. She has had some jealousy issues that have led to her just having a screw loose on this show. And she does this little backhanded compliments that translate so well to her English, which is unlike Rio. We don't need your help against Judgment Day. We'll take care of them for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, then. Interesting. I really like that. Kabuki Warriors defeated Judgment Day. And again, Asuka's unhinged. It's her first match in like a month. And you see Kairi, who appears to be, I don't want to say an unwilling participant, but a hesitant participant throughout all of this. She's definitely like had some pause to a lot of these situations. But this is Asuka's first match in like a month. Glad to see her back in there. Paris loved Asuka. And listen, Asuka can still do everything that she's ever done. She is as good. She is as charismatic. She is as exciting as she has ever been, in my opinion. I love the white Eiffel Tower for the Judgment Day entrance. That was very cool. Kairi did a beautiful elbow to Raquel outside, and I will continue to rave about Raquel, who not just has worked bigger, but she has sort of directed traffic an awful lot. And that's with 3 phenomenal in-ring wrestlers that she's in there with. But Raquel has started to like command this presence about her. Roxanne taking the loss. Listen, you all know Roxanne's one of my favorite performers out there. I think that she's incredible. I think she's going to be one of the top stars in the company for like the next generation. But there is no shame in losing to Asuka and losing there clean. Got no problem with that whatsoever. All for that. All for that. But Kabuki Warriors getting a win and getting a win over Judgment Day. Yeah, I'm good with that. And listen, that probably puts them in women's tag team title contention, right? Like it can't take much to get into tag team title contention there. So why not? But Io and Nikki, they meet up and they are interrupted by the Kabuki Warriors. And Asuka again throwing this little shade. She's like, yeah, you lost your championship, but we're going to make sure that you win. You might say, win what? Well, it was revealed that Io Sky, Stephanie Veker, which we said last week would just make sense, is going to be the women's world title match at WrestlePalooza. Now, within context of this show, last week, Adam Pearce said, I've got somebody in mind. I just got to nail some things down. Can't happen at Clash in Paris. I'm sitting there thinking, why the hell couldn't this have happened at Clash in Paris? Huh? Why couldn't this have happened last night? I'm fine with it happening at WrestlePalooza. But why did it need to happen in kayfabe then? He couldn't have just said, Io, you want a title shot? She goes, yeah, I was supposed to get one anyway. Let's do it at Clash in Paris. Fine. Okay. Sure. Now, I understand that behind the scenes, they got to promote this match. They got to do these angles. There's some writing that had to be done. So I get it. So I'm not that bothered by that. But like we aren't going to sit here and believe like they had to negotiate it with Io Sky, right? Like we know that she would have been fine with it. Asuka also confronts Rhea Ripley and says that she's going to go through everything possible or everyone possible. There's a little bit of like red herrings here as well with Rhea Ripley joining CM Punk and being like, oh, he's not here, huh? Should probably just give up on that. Like he's not gonna. But if you need somebody to have your back, I got your back, type of thing. Little red herrings here and there, which we will get to later on. This was a very like when I say breezable show, so to speak. There weren't so many things that happened, and one of the things I've noticed about WWE, especially the last year and a half, they always have like one really hot thing going on. And then most of everything else is like subsequent. And I don't want to say filler, but not as much care is given. And this show was a really, really big example of that. About how they got one thing that specifically everybody's got buzz on. Everybody's talking about. And everything else, people are just kind of like, yeah, that happened. Okay. That's cool. So while we're talking about the women's title thing, Pierce meets with Roxanne and Raquel, and Roxanne wants to be added to this match. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. Adam Pearce should be stopping that. He should be preventing that from happening. But Lyra also meets with Pierce and says Bayley's saying weird stuff, but we'll be back soon. So this was, I was surprised to not see Bayley like at all on these episodes of Raw because she was on the tour. She worked 2 dates on the tour. She worked 2 England dates. Somebody said, I disagree. The Vision and Asuka were threads. No. I didn't say that there weren't threads. I said at any given time on WWE, there's one really, really hot angle. And then the other stuff is what they use to fill in the show. And there's not as much care given to it. I think that Asuka made those interesting. I don't know if the writing necessarily did. And the Vision is tied in with the one hot thing that's on the show. I did not have a great amount of care for the Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker thing. I like them. I think that should be a quicker split than many expect. because I've seen Judgment Day, Death Riders, Bloodline the last 3 or 4 years. I've seen these stables at the top of the card, and I'm ready to not see that stuff. But there's definitely some more care given to one specific angle. Sorry, I'm reading this chat here. Anyway, Adam Pearce on this show, I got to say, it's been addressing one of my complaints about the show. And that's that I don't think that Adam Pearce, his character, has commanded enough respect or commanded anything within kayfabe that necessarily would make you respect him, right? Like, what does he do that necessarily says, oh, you shouldn't cross him? Over the last week or two, he's been doing that a lot more. And I like that. I think that goes really, really far in making a show make sense. Because if you can just run all over all of the authority figures, what are you even doing? Well, if you want your penis to have some authority, use BlueChew. My friends, you know we always care about your performance at Fightful, and we want to keep that performance at a main event level. And you can with BlueChew and the code Fightful. The same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a much more affordable option. BlueChew is ready whenever you are or whenever you're not. Helps give you that extra motivation. That way you can make sure that your performance is at a championship level. You go online to BlueChew.com, and when approved by our online physicians, you get that confidence, you get that performance, and you get it shipped straight to your door. No awkward conversations with the doctor, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, all of that stuff. You use that code FIGHTFUL, get your first shipment free. That's how confident that they are that they're going to make you confident. What do you have to lose? BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL. Check it out, BlueChew and the code FIGHTFUL. Terry Allen Jr. sends a super chat and says, happy belated birthday among politely media guys. He says, my birthday is the same day as Michael Jackson's. After the review, my birthday wish is a follow on Blue Sky. Terry, I promise I am going to follow you on Blue Sky. What's your, don't super chat it, but what's your handle? I found you. You know what? There you go. I just followed you back right now. So there you go. Wish granted by God. I just got a message from an agent putting over the BlueChew segue. There we go. So we moved on to Finn Balor, Dragon Lee. Again, Finn Balor, Dragon Lee. Finn Balor's just still doing work at the same level he's always done. Dragon Lee getting highlighted a lot. The man never wins. You got to have JD McDonough distracting Dragon Lee to make this happen. But the highlight of this was the Fosbury flop into the Hurricane Rana outside. That was that good stuff. That's the stuff that I like. But the point that I brought up before this match was the fact that Adam Pearce is taking more control. Adam Pearce saw Dominic backstage. He saw Finn Balor. He saw JD. And I thought that all of them played their roles well. Like Finn Balor's like, why weren't you out there? Dominic says, listen, bro, I got my own stuff to do. I got to get ready for a match, which is absolutely true. Why would you expect the guy who has an Intercontinental Championship match against one of the all-time greats to be out there for your match before? You got JD. Don't be greedy. But Adam Pearce bans Judgment Day from Dominic's match. And JD is bothered. JD is like, no, that sucks. Dominic is beside himself. Finn is kind of just smiling. He's pretty happy about it. He's good with it. Like Finn has still not let go of that WrestleMania moment. And I really thought that the Dominic babyface run was going to happen well before now. But I mean, now that they got him so tied into AAA, but I mean, they love him in AAA too. Like he'd be a babyface in AAA. Whereas in like the 90s, he would have been like a super heel. He would be a babyface there. And Finn was over in Paris big time. There were some wrestlers like Asuka, Finn, AJ, like some people that have been around in WWE for like the last 9-10 years that were just over to a monster level on this show. And that's one of the things you love about WWE going overseas for these shows. And they're doing more in January too, leading up to the Royal Rumble. I think that's a good idea. I'm all for afternoon wrestling. That's for damn sure. Give me that as opposed to me being up at the crazy hours during Monday Night Football season. I don't blame them for doing that. If I were them, I'd have probably went to Europe in December again too. That way you could schedule those Monday Night Raws in the afternoon ahead of Monday Night Football. In January, I mean, you still might have a couple. I don't know how the playoff schedule will necessarily land, but if you do those in December, you can get sort of the holiday foot traffic of those live events, which, is a big month for WWE live events in general. FightfulSelect.com had a report about how they're going to continue that this year. But then you don't have to battle Monday Night Football for a number of weeks, for at least a couple weeks, which I think is pretty important. Finn Balor gets the win here. I really like the way that all that played out. War Raiders get a win, if you can believe such a thing exists, defeating New Day. They called Grayson Waller Big G Langston. The highlight of this was New Day destroying somebody's phone on the way to the ring. Penta got a big reaction too. Xavier was very clearly working with that neck injury. Let me tell you guys the extent that this man went. And I've had people say, like, "Oh, do you have a problem when people work their injuries?" No, it's their job. No. Xavier was in a neck brace at a Denny's after Raw a couple weeks ago, talking about, yeah, my neck got messed up by Penta, selling that stuff. Now, he does this ahead of Dragon Con, I guess, every year is something I hear. I don't know the bit there, but that's just what I'm told. And he's really selling it like throughout this match and afterwards as well. Like, he wants the Mexican Destroyer band. Good on him. And again, I've had people say, like, do you take issue when people do that type of stuff? No, it's their job to do it. It's my job to figure it out. Like the Seth Rollins thing, people said that's the new kayfabe. And I'm like, no, that's the old kayfabe, buddy. Like the Sandman back in the 90s, walking around like he was blind for weeks. Like that's the way it used to be. Like working the injury is how it was for a very long time. These wrestlers would go to airports with neck braces on and slings on and all that stuff. And you ain't got to do that these days. Like it's a work. They're acting in many ways, but like I always admire when somebody does that and we get a report from somebody saying like, "Oh man, Xavier was just at Denny's and he's in a neck brace and he said he was hurt." Good for him. Hell yeah. He got us. Got a lot of respect for that. There were also "We want Big E" chants at New Day, which unfortunately is not going to happen. We also saw a big dive from Penta during this match, and there were some okay spots. There was a bit awkward spot. I'm trying to go back and look and see exactly what it was. It looked like it was going to be like a launch into a flying reverse DDT. I don't know what exactly it was supposed to be. Perhaps too ambitious. Maybe I can find out. But I am a big fan of the Mexican Destroyer matches. If I were in WWE, I would be having pile drivers and all pile driver contingent moves be something of that sort, right? Like that finish things. Whew, man. Kim Gray says, joining late. Hope you had a great birthday. But thank you so much. I did. I had a lovely birthday. Went to Jeff Ruby's here in Lexington with my wife, my mother. Had a great time. It was a good one. Oh, man. By the way, guys, after this on Fightful Select, we're going to have news on a potential upcoming WWE signing. It is $5.99 a month. I encourage you guys to check that out. It's going to be an interesting one. Somebody that WWE has had interest in prior, I'm told. But a lot of details there. We're going to continue to have scoops over on FightfulSelect.com. But, man, the boyhood dream has come true. If you guys have watched my show for any period of time over the last few months, you know I've been trying to nail down this Freddie Got Fingered review, right? It's happening. I'm going to tell you more about it at the end of the show. September 11th. It's official. But let's talk about the Intercontinental title match. Dominic Mysterio defeated AJ Styles. Noise says, love Styles being able to come back to France and being able to soak it in this time instead of being forced to lock in. Lock in as a heel as well is what he had to do. But it was really, really great. And you know what? Realistically, might be his last run getting to really embrace the audience and embrace this adulation that he has gained in Paris. Because, man, they love him there. And they loved him there last year as well, to the point where people were like, is it time to go heel? No, man, let this guy have his moments. Let him have this. I hope that he also gets an appropriate farewell whenever the time comes. And I might have some news on Fightful Select about when that might be coming this month, coming soon, coming nearly. FightfulSelect.com. I enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed this match. I really hated this finish. I am so sick of this finish. And it's like they said, well, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll not make the title match the main event. That way people can't tweet that it's been like 9 straight weeks with an interference or a DQ, right? The work was outstanding. You had the head scissors over the top rope. You had the AJ powerbomb on the table. Dominic is taking the old edge-o-matic, which is basically just like pulling on their chin and slamming them. He does the Michinoku driver. The mullet-o-matic still needs some work. But Dominic driver is good, the old Michinoku driver. There's a 619 into a Styles Clash that was really good, but he got his foot on the ropes. The Bloody Sunday was one of the nastiest I've seen. Nastiest. Dominic came right down on his head there. And all that was good. I enjoyed all that. Then we got the same goddamn finish that we got every Dominic match for it feels like 2-3 months with the El Grande Americano, headbutt, and all that stuff. I am so over the same shit every week. Same shit. And it always seems tied to one, the Raw main event, or two, Dominic Mysterio, who has outgrown the need to do the same shit all the time. We did not need him in every women's match. We did not need him in every women's tag title match. And now we do not need El Grande Americano involved in every single Dominic Mysterio match. So while I put over earlier Adam Pearce's authority, so to speak, there has to be something on the show that is made sense of here. Why would Adam Pearce be okay with El Grande Americano repeatedly cheating, interfering, getting involved with this, especially in a title match, not only that was heavily promoted for Adam Pearce, but that AJ Styles was very adamant that he got and very patient in getting. And then the rematch. I think this Dominic reign should have been the catalyst for his babyface turn. I don't know if the Liv Morgan thing slowed that down. It's understandable and reasonable to believe so, because Liv Morgan is such an integral and important part of this show that losing her affected so many things. It affected like 3 or 4 programs, right? Because she's that good. She had shown herself to be that reliable and that important on the show that it did affect that. It spoke volumes about Liv Morgan and spoke volumes about the creative backup plans, because fortunately they were able to slot Roxanne into all that. But I do wonder how this affected Dominic Mysterio, because Dominic Mysterio seemed like he was on a path to turn babyface, and I think would have been a very, very good babyface. But that hasn't happened yet. You've still got the dissension being teased. Not really the dissension, but the jealousy being teased from Finn Balor towards Dominic Mysterio, who clearly hasn't forgotten about that WrestleMania match. But I think that and Brandon says Dom don't need Liv to be a babyface, to be honest. I know that, but I think there is something to that, to where the babyface part of Dominic is him showing the growth personally. And you keep assuming that he's just going to mess around on Liv with Roxanne, but no, that's not what it was. He's actually completely down for Liv. And again, you guys know, if you've watched this, I am good with babyface and heel couples and all that. And Dominic, even if Dominic is a babyface, he's just going to do the Eddie Guerrero gimmick. So he's going to cheat the whole time anyway. And that's okay. That's what he should do. That's what I think he should be doing anyway. Oh, man. So we've gotten through most of the rest of the show. And the main event segment for us to talk about is the thing that you guys want to talk about. CM Punk was waiting by the gate for Seth Rollins to show up. And eventually throughout the night, you get Rhea Ripley visiting and sort of making herself the red herring for this angle. If it's anybody but AJ Lee, all due respect to Rhea Ripley, all due respect to anybody, it's a disappointment. Had a full report on FightfulSelect.com on this. I encourage you guys to support original coverage and check it out. But CM Punk finds out that Seth Rollins has somehow snuck into the building. So he goes out and he says that he'll just hold the show hostage until it is that he sees Seth Rollins. But instead he gets Becky Lynch. And this freaking Becky Lynch promo was so unbelievably good. I shouldn't say unbelievably good, because she's incredible. She's fantastic. Sometimes I think the world forgets who Becky Lynch is. And Becky Lynch is like reading him the riot act. You know, she's saying things like, my husband is things that you'll never be. He's hot. He's jacked. He's talented. And Punk is like, all right, come on. And then she goes, and he never interrupts me like you. And Punk fires back with, wish he would. That way he can come out here. And then Becky really lets CM Punk have it. And what I will say is that a lot of this was rooted in true feelings, as was much of the Seth Rollins CM Punk feud. Now, clearly, all of these parties are professional to a level of which they are working together. And Becky is out there doing promos with him. Seth Rollins and CM Punk had an incredible feud. But I would imagine that this was incredibly cathartic for Rebecca Lopez. Channeling and playing Becky Lynch, the character. She was like, it's not just my husband that was affected by you walking out 10 years ago and his matches and his plans and his career. She's like, it was me that you affected, because while I was out there trying to make a name for myself and working my ass off, it was your name that they chanted to let me know that I didn't matter to them, that they didn't care about me, that they didn't want to see me wrestle. They didn't care who I was. And man, I felt like the point was reinforced when the crowd chanted that and CM Punk held the mic up and said, well, yeah, that's because I'm the best in the world. So tough. And you are in a situation where the heel had some really, really good points. To me, it is a beautiful feud for a couple of reasons. Seth Rollins was right to be frustrated with CM Punk, to not like CM Punk, to feel some sort of pride in the torch that he carried. CM Punk leaving WWE, if you ever listen to the Cole Cabana podcast, it's one of the best podcasts in wrestling history. CM Punk had really good reasons for wanting to leave. Seth Rollins had reasons to want to wave that WWE flag and say, well, you're trying to send us out of business, blah, 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 all that, really take it to that next level. And then you came crawling back because they didn't want you anymore. There are some real things rooted in that. And CM Punk is like, well, you should have just forgotten about it and got over it because I did, and now I'm back. And that's just not how everybody deals with things. Absence doesn't always make the heart grow fonder. And Becky Lynch, the character, has been waiting to say this to CM Punk for a very, very long time. This was fantastic. And I know I see the person saying, you went to, like, going back to the well of you left us. It isn't the you left us here. It is the you leaving us led to massive disrespect to an entire gender of performers. Because even when they were trying to get stuff cooking with the women, they were met with CM Punk chants. So Seth Rollins does make an appearance on the stage, but as CM Punk turns around, Becky Lynch slaps him repeatedly, like trying to get him to attack her, to do something. Like she slaps him like 15 times, pushes him on the shoulder, all that. Drives her head into his chest. It is as obnoxiously disrespectful as she could possibly make it. Becky played this so well. And the crowd's chanting for AJ Lee, and she's like, she doesn't work here. But CM Punk just looks at her and says, your husband is going to regret cashing in on me, and you are going to regret putting your hands on me. Backstage, he asks Adam Pearce, where's SmackDown this Friday? Adam Pearce says, Chicago, Illinois. That is where CM Punk and AJ Lee live. So, what we reported on Fightful Select yesterday, people that I had spoke to said that there had absolutely been pitches regarding AJ Lee. It had gained more traction than it had gained in years. People have been trying to get AJ Lee to come out of retirement for a long time. Wow Women of Wrestling tried it. She said, no, don't want to do that. Please don't ask again. People in AEW would sort of needle CM Punk about it. And I think that the way that I took it is that he always kind of saw it as a, like, if she wants to come back, she will. Leave me alone about it type of thing. And I understand that. I understand that people in WWE have done that as well. But there is certainly more traction on it now than there has ever been. If it were Rhea Ripley or Bayley, you wouldn't need to wait until Chicago to do it, right? You wouldn't need to hold off before doing it. Dylan Goodridge says they should have done the return with the Europe crowd. I disagree. I think that Chicago, where AJ Lee lives, is the perfect place to do it. And I think that anything short of an AJ Lee return at this stage is a disappointment for this. I also think that CM Punk would feel very, very satisfied about he and his wife taking on Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins at WrestlePalooza, which again, pretty close geographically, but is right up against AEW All Out, right? Like maybe a little bit of him inside his heart's like, yeah, let's do it then too. It just makes an awful lot of sense, right? Now, what you're going to see on Twitter is a bunch of the most zero news, boozer ass coded language and posts ever. But I mean, there's more traction to this than there has been in recent years. You're going to see all the people saying, slide it up, stuff like that. But right now, there's a lot more traction to this than there ever has been since she's been gone. Like when I asked people in AEW, hey, do you think that it's going to happen? The girls there were like, no, we don't. We don't think it's going to happen because it felt like the people that I would ask, you could tell that Punk had it's like people going up to Cody and doing a Dusty impersonation. You know what I mean? How many times do you think he's heard a Dusty impersonation in his life? I bet CM Punk has had so many women in wrestling be like, "Oh, AJ, let's get AJ out of retirement. It's easier said than done." Now, if that woman comes back to TV, she is going to look every bit of the TV star she always did. The people I talked to that worked with her on Heels said that she seemed nervous upon doing like in-ring stuff again, but then when she got in there, it was like she didn't miss a beat, right? Ah, man. I don't think that a lot of people really understand the scope and how important AJ Lee was as a character. Because I understand there's a lot of people right now that were like, if you're 21, 22 watching this show, you were like a 9, 10-year-old, maybe not even interested in wrestling yet, when AJ Lee was the main character of WWE Monday Night Raw. And she helped a number of people get over. She was immensely influential to just the character development of a wealth of current female performers that, quite frankly, they didn't have a lot of the in-ring on WWE and the women's side to look to. You'd have to turn on TNA and watch Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and people like that. In America, I should say. But you watch AJ Lee, and she was cutting those promos and she was doing that character work. She was involved in the men's storylines as well. She showed a lot of different layers to a personality that I think was a big catalyst in the demand for the women's revolution as we know it in pro wrestling. And I said this last night, I do not feel like she got to enjoy the fruits of a lot of the work that she did. She left just before it really, really started to take off. And I would have really liked if she got to enjoy a lot of the results of much of the work that she put in to help facilitate such a change. And I hope that now she does, assuming she wants to. But also, like, I'm going to have more on this on Fightful Select as well. Talk to a lot of women in the company that are pretty pumped about this, about the likelihood that this happened. Oh, man. Gonna send you to our sponsor, MyBookie. Hey, guys. Sean Ross Sapp. Want to tell you about MyBookie, our new betting partner where we get all of our WWE and AEW odds is MyBookie. But it's not just pro wrestling and MMA, which, by the way, yeah, you can bet on pro wrestling. It's Major League Baseball, it's tennis, it's the NBA, it's the NFL, PGA, FIFA, anything you could imagine. They got you covered. Now, they always have great deals, but when you use the code FIGHTFUL at mybookie.ag, you get a $50 bonus on a $100 deposit. Maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you want a $100 bonus. deposit $200, and they have you covered. This is where we are getting all of our odds from here on out. MyBookie AG. Also, it's not just betting. They have live casino. They have table games, slots games, all kinds of stuff to satisfy you over at MyBookie. Just don't forget, use that code FIGHTFUL. Only bet what you can, and please bet responsibly. Guys, this weekend, MyBookie AG was right on the money with all of their picks, as were we over on FightfulSelect.com. Just firing on all cylinders, my friends. Also, NFL season coming up. Pumped for it. Right after this stream, I'm going to hop over and do a Common Bengals W stream where I predict the Bengals season record. Get your super chats in, get your humper chats in. Brandon Cavallaro says exactly. Liv and Dom is a heel angle. If she's going to change, or if he's going to change, he should move on from Liv, right? Not really. Here's why I don't think so. Dominic will be a babyface and be beloved by the crowd, but he's going to do heel things. And I think that him staying loyal to Liv is a bit of a way where they can babyface him. But also, when Liv comes back, she's going to get cheered, man. Like, Liv's going to be cheered because they are very, very heavy on the heel end. Interesting. Guys, I am back here on Wednesday, but I told you guys I would elaborate on this at the end of the show. Here's the lore. Alex Pawlowski and Kate do movie reviews on Fightful Select, wrestling contingent movie reviews. Alex is the biggest curmudgeon I have seen in pro wrestling reviewing, and he's such an eloquent curmudgeon at that. And I suggested that he review the movie Hot Rod. It's one of my comfort films. Very funny. And he did a 2-hour movie review, the longest in world recorded history. And I disagreed with almost everything in that review, but I was fascinated with it. It was a sincerely incredible review where Alex discussed the rules of comedy. What? Then I realized I had to have this man review the Tom Green classic, Freddie Got Fingered. You might say, Sean, why the hell would you do that? I watched this movie and it was so ridiculous that I couldn't tell if it was terrible or if it was performance art. And I need Alex and Kate to get together to review this movie. Now, I know there are movie reviews out there with millions of views on this movie. We ain't doing that. We'll be lucky for a few thousand. But I need Alex to break down eloquently things in this movie. And if you've never seen it, it is now on Amazon Prime. So literally anybody that gets free shipping can watch this movie. But he quoted me a price that was so outrageous, there's no way I could do it. It was like they wanted like $2,000 each to review this movie. I can't do that. That's irresponsible. Then they negotiated down to customizable puppets or customized puppets. So I got them puppets that look like them that won't be here until late October. And it was very expensive. It was like $1,100. It was insane. But I feel like their audience will rise to the occasion and donate super chats to a level of which will justify that purchase. And it's something I'm willing to do to invest in that show. And on September 11th, perhaps the most appropriate date ever, the Sour Graps review of Freddie Got Fingered is taking place. I am the executive producer on this review. I will be helping kick off the show. We'll also have a special guest kick off the show. I'm going to be giving you a history of Tom Green if for some reason you don't know who this man is, because he was a phenom. And what I am saying to you, please, for the love of God, super chat during this show. Please tune in for this appalling, disgusting review that is going to happen. I feel like Muted myself. Damn it. Anyway, no, it's not behind the paywall. To be clear, this is a main channel show. Main channel show. I understand. I muted myself. as I pleaded. 1LT Photo says, damn straight we will. Demon Diva says, thought it was my Bluetooth. Please show up in Super Chat during this show. If for some reason you want to sponsor this show, I'm selling them for $100 a pop. It's an ad read. You can use it wherever the hell you want. It'll get you a social plug from me to 327,000 people. Well, your link will be in the description as well. You can promote your cat if you want. You can promote your Twitter. I don't care. I don't give a hoot. You can set the reminder now. This is an important moment in Fightful history to me. I do want to get back to us doing more skits and doing more fun things because I think that is the heart of Fightful. And at some point, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of everybody taking everything that we do so literally and seriously. So by God, we're going to review Freddie Got Fingered. And you're going to think that some of the things that are mentioned in this are just not true. Somebody says Tom Green was married to Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore's in the movie. You want to know where I got the puppets? Etsy. The person I got the puppets from lives like a few minutes from Maggie in Bulgaria. Hey, bro, stop. Discuss, please. No. You got 50 minutes of WWE discussion. I'm talking about Tom Green, by God. That's what I'm talking about. And now I'm about to go talk about Bengals football over on Common Bengals W. Guys, we are going to have more on a potential upcoming WWE signing. We're going to have more on AJ Lee. Got a lot coming to FightfulSelect.com. Please support what we do over there. I cannot convey this more. Please support original coverage. Be a man and bring back Fightful Gaming on Twitch. I have had some talks about doing some stuff like that. I've had some talks about that, Cyclops. So maybe soon. Maybe soon. We got some realignment and some things we got to adjust. This was a big investment year for Fightful. So some things we got to move around, I'm sure. But until next time, my friends, we're out.